What up?
How you doing?
Doing good.
How you been? You missed all practice all last week with the hamstring, but then played normally Sunday. How was that? I mean, is the hamstring been an issue for you, or just kind of getting past it?
I mean, it was an issue for me last week. I think the hardest part is just going into a game and not really getting catches, not really getting routes, not really working on some of the stuff that you want to work on as you get ready to get prepared for a game. But it's one of those things where you kind of got to just rely on your talents and your gifts, understanding that you played the game for so long that you already know what it is that you need to do. And it's, you just got to trust yourself and know that those other weeks of preparation that you've had just to be able to go out there and play, you kind of got to rely on that a little bit as you go play.
When in your career could you have done that?
That feels all right.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
I'm sorry. When in your career, at what point in your career do you feel you could not practice all week and still play?
When I was at K-State. I had to do it for like 3 weeks straight at K-State. So I kind of learned how to do it. I mean, it's something that I don't like to do all the time. Like, it helps you with your body. Like, you feel fresh and you got fresh legs and all that stuff. But as far as, like I said, just being able to continue to build on your chemistry, with your quarterback, being able to go out there and practice some of the routes that you want to practice and run it the way that you want to run it. You don't really get those practices or even those free moments to be able to go do that. You kind of just got to stick to kind of some of the stuff that you can be able to do really well.
So you would recommend it?
No, I wouldn't recommend it. But, I mean, if you do, everybody has a route that they got to take. And so if that's the route that you got to take, then you just got to know what you got to do to be able to prepare to get yourself ready. And, I mean, the trainers did a great job. The athletic trainers did in helping me try to get myself back right to be able to play.
In such a situation, would you say the first half ends up kind of functioning like the practices during the week? It seemed like the second half you really got your legs under you and came up with a bunch of those big catches.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, I just wanted to kind of ease myself back into it. I wasn't trying to just go 100% on the first play. You kind of want to build it up, especially when it comes to a hamstring. And that's what we were doing all week, was just building it up. And the more and more I was able to build it up, the more and more I was able to just let go and just go play and not have to worry about it.
The third down completion that Geno hit to you last week after the false start penalty, you see him get fired up in that moment, and you guys make that big conversion. Like, what's it like seeing him get worked up like that, and his emotions kind of flowing, and you guys still making a play and keeping the team moving in a big spot?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like you love being able to see guys become emotional because you see how much it means to them. Sometimes in football, there's times where you never see emotions, and so you just go out there and play, and it's like I'm just doing my job. But when you see people out there that's talking, you see people out there that's being physical, that's being emotional, like you said, like even that play when Geno completed and he was emotional, you see how much it means to guys, and so it starts to mean even that much more to you. And you kind of just develop that mindset, like, we're not going to let anybody stop us. It doesn't matter if it was what kind of call it was, if it should have been on us or if it should have been on them. It's like, just show us what the down and distance is going to be, and we'll do whatever it is to be able to get that and convert it. And that's exactly what happened. I think we took 10 minutes off the clock, when it comes to that. And the other team had an explosive offense. So when you can keep the offense off the field for that long, I mean, things start to play into our hands.
How different is the stuff that defenses bring you guys in terms of defending the pass on third down versus early downs?
It depends. I mean, some coaches, they kind of stick with the same philosophy that they've stuck with for years. Sometimes they change. They try to have a game plan just versus each and every team, and the game plan is different. So a lot of it is just trying to figure out what it is that they're going to do while you're in game, because it might be a little different than what you plan for. But, I mean, the hardest part and the thing that's helped us out a lot is just the variety of being able to spread the ball around. So it's hard for teams to try to take certain people out because we've shown that we'll throw the ball to whoever and whenever because we trust everybody on this team. And so it makes it harder and harder for defenses just to game plan against one person, because we've shown that we'll throw the ball to our tight ends all day if they're open. We've shown that we'll throw the ball to our running backs. Like, we've shown we'll throw the ball to our receivers. And so it puts us into a position where even if teams want to try to guard and double team people, well, we still have a quarterback that can run. And so it doesn't make us one-dimensional. And it gives us variety to be able to be as creative as we want, but still simple for us as an offense.
You
You look back at some of the film of you guys' games this year. What have you thought of the way you guys have executed out of your 13 personnel?
Man, I thought we did a great job. And, a lot of that is because even when you look at Pat, who's the tight end coach in there, like him and all the tight ends, man, they take respect in everything that they do. And they don't take their job lightly. They go out there, they make so many great critical blocks. You look at Dish, you look at Kobe. Whenever they made that block that allowed Ken to be able to push inside, and then he went and scored. You look at when they got opportunities to be able to run routes or catching the ball. Kobe had that flat route, took it up almost 30, 40 yards. Like, those are the things that help us out to where teams aren't just thinking like, man, they're just going to run the ball. It's like we could do whatever we want because we got tight ends who can also play receiver. And so when you give them a chance to split out, you give them a chance to run routes, you see that these guys can run routes. These guys can catch really well. Like, Noah's being able to help us out a whole lot too. And so being able to get them opportunities and chances and put them in different situations is hard for defenses because sometimes linebackers aren't used to guarding people. They're just used to being able to read plays and try to either take nakeds away or take the run away.
Mentioned that long touchdown run for Ken on that particular play. D. Eskridge had a really nice block. He only had one catch in the game, but how much does that resonate in the receiver group when you guys are watching film and stuff? I think he had a couple plays he knocked defenders on their backside.
Mm-hmm.
How does that resonate in your receiver room when you see a guy making blocks like that?
Man, that's big time. I mean, that's what Sanjay, our receiver coach, that's what he talks about, is just being able to impose our will, being able to go out there and be as physical as can be. And it's the same thing when it comes to running routes, but it's out there when you're blocking too. Like, we're going to let the DB feel us each and every play, even if they don't want to. It might end up in fights. It might end up in whatever the case is, but we're going to let our presence be known. And so you see that, it's never a drop-off. Whoever's in the game, whoever's not in the game, we go 13 personnel. It doesn't matter. When we're out there, we're going to be able to make those blocks, and we're going to try to be as physical as can be. Sometimes we miss blocks. Sometimes we don't make the right plays. But a lot of the times we're going to try to make sure that we do whatever we can because we got amazing running backs that could be able to make a guy miss and score 60, 70 yards whenever.
I know you've been involved in the NFLPA before. Sort of the debate right now about kind of grass fields and turf fields and some of the injuries that have been had this year, kind of the Field Sunday. I guess you have a general thought on that, and if the Field Sunday was kind of far different than some others.
I mean, turf is kind of turf. I mean, some turf can feel better than others, but I mean, at the same time, you heard a lot of players talk about they'd rather play on grass, and I think that's just anybody because when you play on grass, it's not like turf. Even sometimes when we practice in the indoor, your knees start to hurt and stuff like that just because you're running on turf. I think it is better if we play on grass, but at the same time, like, we don't make the rules. We don't impose the rules. Like, we just got to be able to go out there and play. So if they never change it, we just got to learn how to deal with it. If they do change it, which that's what everybody would want to happen, then we could be able to cross that bridge when we get there. But, like, for this season, I mean, some stuff isn't going to change right then and there. So we just got to be able to learn how to deal with it and play with it. But it sucks because you see a lot of non-contact injuries. You see people being able to go down. And these are the same things that the NFLPA and that people have been vocal about in the past couple of years, and nobody's been hearing them. But now that we have a lot of like next gen stats and people starting to put stuff together and everything, not only are they able to see our speed or the route running or all that stuff, now they can be able to see like, okay, there's a lot more non-contact injuries in turf than it is when you see people play on grass.
Are you and Tyler Ott still the player reps?
No, I'm not a player rep anymore.
From your knowledge of the union, that's a collectively bargained issue, though, right? That can't be anything outside the CBA.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's an odd question.
Yeah.
You guys played Geno's West Virginia team once in college?
What year is this for Geno? 11?
10.
10. So if I'm 8, so if he was a senior, I would have been a sophomore. Yeah, so we played them. I think we played them once.
Do you remember much of that? Just any impressions you had of him in college?
We beat them. We beat them. Yeah, we beat them a lot. Tavon Austin was killing us though. But it was a good game though. There was always a good team. They were super explosive. They had Stedman Bailey. They had Tavon. They had Geno. They had everything that you would want in the offense. We just had Coach Snyder.
Were you familiar with Geno at all much before he came here?
I mean, I was always familiar with him because how we played in the Big 12. But once he was able to come on the team and stuff, that's when we kind of got close. That's when we started to talk a little bit. And, I mean, even last year, you know, we got closer and closer, especially going into this offseason. We was playing Call of Duty a lot. So, you know, interesting person to play Call of Duty with.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. Yeah, he's probably top 10 on the team.
Tyler, is your offense an explosive offense, or is it, given what you just said, or a diverse offense that just takes whatever the defense gives you?
Yeah, I think we're an offense that takes whatever it is that a defense gives us. We can be explosive if we want. We can hold the ball if we want. But I think that speaks volumes because there's going to be games like how we played last week where you go against an explosive team who's always going to want the ball in their hands, and you got to be able to learn how to take time off the clock. And then there's going to be times where if we score too fast, you allow the offenses to come on the field faster. But if we're able to have a 4-minute drive, we can be able to score fast on that, or we can hold the ball for the whole entire game. We're trying to be complete in everything that it is that we do, regardless of the situation. And I think those are the things that's going to be able to help us out a lot. It's not just us being able to score explosively whenever we want. Sometimes we want that. Sometimes we got to be able to take clock. Sometimes we want to be able to take drives. Like we got 3 points out of that 10-minute clock when we were holding the ball, but we want touchdowns. So if we can be able to score and do that, I mean, that's even better. So we're just trying to keep on building and just try to get better each week.
In case you were wondering, you had 9 catches for 194 yards and 2 touchdowns when you played against West Virginia.
You said I had what?
You had 9 for 194 and 2 touchdowns when you played against West
Had
Virginia.
3.
You had 3.
Had 3 touchdowns.
Did you return one?
I think I had 3. Maybe it was 2. I thought it was 3. I don't
You
know.
can tell the story however you want to now.
Yeah, I gotta think about that. I thought it was 3. I remember 2 in my head for sure, but I thought it was 3.
Has Geno made a jump from the quarterback you saw in the offseason and training camp to what you're seeing now in the regular season?
You know, I think he's made a jump once he got that chance to compete for the job and be the guy. Because I mean, it's hard to come in and you know, you see what he can do every single time we have camp, but I mean, you know, he's not the starter. And so when you know that you're going into a game, when you finally get a chance to be the starter, you're able to see that everything that he did with putting in the work, it starts to come together. Like, we never really got to throw with him until he got to play for those 3.5 games. So it took time for us to be able to build that chemistry, to be able to throw with him, to understand what he sees, how he sees it, where he's going to throw the ball, when he's going to throw it. And so, like, you know, those 3 games was kind of like the foundation piece of, okay, now we kind of understand how each other thinks. You know, we kind of understand what it is that you see, what it is that I see. And now going into the offseason, you know, he made the effort to fly, to throw it with me and Keys. Like, he made the effort to fly and throw with DK. Like, you saw that he was doing whatever because he was in Florida. Like, not too many people want to leave Florida, you know what I mean? And so he left, he came in through with us. We continued to work on our chemistry. And then all of a sudden we come into camp. And, I mean, it's not like we're starting over. We're continuing to build off of where we left off at. And I think even being able to have those preseason games, I mean, it's able to help all of us to be able to get ourselves right. So once we get into the season, it's not week 1 for us. For some of us, it's week 4. For some of us, it's week 2. And so it helps us to be able to get on page faster and build that chemistry even more faster and maintain it.
When did he leave Florida? What month was that? When did you guys?
Ooh. It's kind of a blur, but I want to say he came back either June or July.
Back here, or were we?
No, we were in Texas. So we were in Texas, and then he went to Cali to throw with DK.
When you all get together, throwing off the off season, what's a typical day like? I mean, how many passes do you throw? Because we hear that a lot. I just have no idea.
I mean, it varies. I mean, you know, some of us were still trying to get in shape. Like, I was still trying to get under my feet and get running. You know, you don't want to overly do it. It's like 100-something degrees in Texas, you know? So we're out there running routes, maybe catching 30 balls, 40 balls, you know what I mean, with maybe a little bit of drills included. But a lot of it is just being able to talk about the defenses, what we're about to go up against, how certain guys play, how we wanted to be able to run certain routes. So that way, like when Geno's in the pocket, he might see us do a certain move, but he doesn't take his eyes off of us because he's seen how we run certain routes. So it allows him to be able to be like, okay, I know what he's doing. And then when you have these weeks like we have now, when we go in the walkthrough, you allow him to be able to see some of the routes that you do that he might need to see so he doesn't take his eyes off of you. And so it allows him to get comfortable. So once we get into the game, he's already like, yep, I know exactly what he's doing when it comes to this route.
Thank you, Tommy.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.